For the first years that we played live, we sounded pretty bad, like, to be honest.
All
like,
bands do at the start.
Yeah, the tours we did in 2014, 2015 were like, yeah, we sounded pretty shitty. So right now I feel like there's more of a calmness. It's also Aaron who writes a lot of the bass parts, so like I have to give him credit.
Amazing.
Like, that's why they're so weird. It's because it's a drummer writing slap bass parts.
This is the line that I'm interested in when it comes to music, because some of it is just feel, and some of it is like, oh, we're going to map this out.
Yeah, this is definitely mapped out, but the less I think when I play the Dirty Loops,
the more likely you are to hit it.
Like, yeah.
Dirty Loops recently played a gig in London at Elextric Brixton, and I was able to go along to that gig, and fortunately was able to grab a conversation with Henrik Linder, their incredible bassist, for 20 minutes or so before their sound check that day. Here is that conversation. I am very honored to have a moment here to chat with Henrik from Dirty Loops. Now, for some context, I, on the channel, predominantly focus on rock music, but a couple of years ago, viewers were suggesting I check out Dirty Loops because as a musician, they seem to think there was a lot to enjoy in that realm. And I was introduced to Follow the Light, and it completely blew me away. But for two main reasons. I think the technicality of the musicianship is very high amongst everyone that performed in that particular song, and the song itself did not suffer for it, because I find that sometimes high-level musicianship, it tends to be a collection of solos one after another, but the song itself at the core shone through. How do you balance that when you're writing songs for Dirty Loops? Because it wasn't just that song. I found that in all the songs really later on as well.
Usually the songs are really simple in the beginning, that maybe you have a vibe for the groove or something, but it's never that we arrange like complicated chord progressions and write the melody on top of them. It's always the other way around, or like almost always the other way around, that we usually start with the chorus, or like write the song, and it's really simple, and it's usually done in a computer with MIDI.
Oh, right, nice. And then I guess you develop it from there. Does that come from each person in the band? At times you'll come up with a sketch or an idea for a chorus, or is it Jonah-led in terms of chorus vocals, or how does it come together?
Aaron, like for the last album, is a drummer that wrote, like has been the main writer. So for Follow the Light and those songs, he like had an idea for how to start it, and he started a lot of the songs, like came up with demos and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess it's a little unconventional.
Yeah.
And I guess also like he's the one that knows the least amount of music theory. Also, he just go by feel, I guess. So. Well,
that is inspiring. As a drummer myself, that's great to hear that can be the case. And it also might inspire others. They don't think they have to necessarily be the most versed musically to come up with that core good idea of a song. Very cool. And one thing that really shone in Follow the Light, which made me go down the rabbit hole of listening to lots of Dirty Loops, was the bass in particular. I think because I'm predominantly a drummer, there's something about slap bass, which is so rarely heard these days, certainly in the rock music that I tend to listen to, that is a rhythmic element to it as well as the harmonious notes. When you're deciding when to pluck or slap on it, is that somewhat improvised, or do you plan it out?
It's not improvised at all. It's also Aaron who writes a lot of the bass parts, so like I have to give him credit.
Amazing.
Like he writes it in the computer, and it's like that's why they're so weird. It's because it's a drummer writing slap bass parts. So
that's crazy. And
it's very often it's like, I want it to be played exactly like this, and then it's like, this is really hard. Like, okay, figure it out. Like, okay.
But do you like that challenge then to try?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I really like the way of working, like when we write stuff, because it's usually like when I write with him, he's usually like in command of the song, and I'm kind of the sidekick, like that, like comes up with ideas for him. But he's like, I feel like when we write together, he has the final say very often.
Wow, okay.
And I think that's the way that works for both of us a lot. And and then a lot of the chord stuff is Jonah, of course, because he's like the best of us in doing that.
I don't know how anyone could write the complexity of what he does on the piano other than someone like himself.
No, that's all him.
Yeah, fair. In Follow the Light, there is a bass solo in it, and it confused me when I first heard it, because I don't think I've heard someone play a bass solo through what looked like pedals to make it have that sort of wah
almost like lead guitar-like sound. Is that how that?
Yeah,
came out?
it's basically that I have a pitch thing that it goes like one octave up, and then it goes into. No, it's a synth pedal that's like
Okay.
one octave up that goes into like a distorted amp with chorus and a little bit. I don't think maybe there's a little bit of delay, and then it's a whammy pedal that goes 2 octaves up above that as well.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so
It's
like
quite extreme.
Yeah. So it's like the Tom Morello sound from British Machine, basically.
Yes. Yeah. It reminded me of that. Yeah. I mean, that's quite a rock influence. I saw some interview when I think Aaron was saying you have an influence from Red Hot Chili Pepper days of Flea and the rest. What are your other influences bass-wise that maybe people might not be aware of in terms of?
I mean, I have a lot of different, but Flea was my first big one, and then it was Les Claypool. Primus was like the second big
fair,
one.
Yeah.
Then it was like Victor Voot and Marcus Miller and Jimmy Johnson, and then it's like, I don't know, I could name like 30, 40 people more, you know, like I think like most people who like made a name for themselves in the bass community or the people I like, most of them have their unique voice and everybody's good in their own way, I guess. So yeah, but I really enjoyed a lot of people, but those were like the people that I started listening to.
Yeah, people have an under-awareness like of Primus. Their music is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
What did you discover what led you to go down the bass route? Was it hearing someone do slap bass in particular, or did you come across that after starting to learn the basics of bass guitar?
No, I don't know. Like I mean, there were slap bass songs on the radio. I liked the way that sounded when I was a kid, so I wanted to learn it. I thought it was pretty hard though to learn it. I had a problem like hitting the strings and like.
It looks hard, to be fair, I'd say.
Yeah, but just like hitting the E string was easy, but like hitting the A and the D string was like.
Well, for the accuracy of just hitting that note, yeah, fair.
That took a while for me. Like,
well, I have zero slap abilities, but when I heard Follow the Light, I did have a moment in my head. I was like, I've wasted my life. I should have spent my time chasing the ability to play that, because I came from like pop punk, so I'm very much downstrokes with a pick, but that is a whole different level.
But I can't play with a pick at all. Like
really, okay.
I don't know. I played with my older brother who has like kind of a post-punk band, like you know, Joy Division, Cure, Sisters of Mercy, like that kind of stuff. Where it was like distortion, chorus, and like only
strumming away.
Yeah, and it like sounded so bad when I did it. Like it was horrible. Like after like 2 gigs, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play fingers instead. I don't know. Like I felt handicapped doing it because I was so bad at it.
Familiarity of of what you tend to do. One thing that I'm so interested in is within the song Next to You. I don't know if you can confirm this or not. It feels to me like there's a moment, 3 minutes into the song. There's a triplet kind of drum pattern, and I swear the next bar starts slightly later than when the actual click would be. Do you happen to know if there was a slight delay to give it that sense of you're almost tripping over?
Is it like before the guitar solo? The synth solo, I mean?
It's kind of...
There's like one hit that's like totally off.
Yes.
But that we did on purpose. It's that I don't...
There's like a drum bit like...
Yeah.
It's a slight pause at the end of that. I thought, am I going crazy, or is that actually...
No, it's like the hit is in a different place. We just did it for fun because it would kind of like mess...
That was my question. What's led to that as a decision? Like, just for the funsies?
It was like... Aaron again who did that. but yeah, it's one of them. It's like... it's right in the keyboard solo. Like when that's the start of it, it's not... this is one of the things I'm really horrible at. Like I can't like say where the hit is. Like I should be able to do that.
But live, do you play to a click? Therefore, do you try and hit that slightly late hit, or
no? It's not like slightly late. It's like the first one is at the 1, right? I don't know. Like
yes, at the end of the drum fill, it comes on the 1, but then it's a pregnant sort of pause before the next hit.
I have written all this down, so I can actually check exactly where this is.
This is what I want.
Oh, here it is, Next to You. It's just like it's on the last triplet instead of the 1.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
so it is actually timed in, but it's like
so it's actually ahead.
Yeah, that's mad. Yeah, it sort of has that almost you're tripping over the.
Yeah,
it was very cool. But I love moments like that that just take a piece of music or a song to some different place that's unexpected, and yet there aren't so many of those that distracts from the songs hitting it as well.
Yeah, it just sounds that it's late because because that thing is a 16-note triplet ahead, but that creates a space that the next pop feels that is later. I guess I don't know. I'm really bad at explaining these things.
No, but this is the line that I'm interested in when it comes to music, because some of it is just feel, and some of it is like, oh, we're going to map this out.
Yeah, this is definitely mapped out, but I don't know. The less I think when I play the
the more likely you are to hit it.
Like, yeah, it's just like muscle memory.
That totally makes sense. I do enjoy, though, there are certainly songs where you have solos within it. There was, what was the song? The Way She Walks, I think. There's a drum solo, which is so rare these days. It goes on. How do you decide amongst yourselves, or is this an Aaron-led thing? Do you go like, this song, I think we should each have a moment, or does it, I don't know, is it in the studio when you go, actually, let's extend this or mess around? Or how do you decide when's a solo going to show up?
I mean, like when we record drums, everything is super arranged already. So like the form and everything is nailed at that point. So I just think it's like, we want to have a drum solo here for that song.
Yeah.
For some reason, it was like, it would be cool with a drum solo here.
Cool. And that's what I'm saying, though. Sometimes it's feel as well as what do you think that song needs. And when it comes to playing these moments live, do you get excited about a solo coming up that you're about to do, or do you have a slight bit of anticipation about it? Because some people will find that, I guess, daunting, or they don't necessarily want the limelight. What's your sense of it?
No, I think it's fun because, like, usually the improvised stuff is the stuff that differs every night.
Right.
And, it's just...
Okay, so you wouldn't try and recreate the solo?
No. So that's like it's the improvised parts of the gig, I guess, because
and that's a lot of that to make it different and fun, or
I mean, it's just like it's solo, so we want to improvise.
Right. I understand that the band came together. You've known certainly Jonah for a very long time. You're doing kind of scholastic music together. Has performing live changed the way that you write the music or come together within the studio? Because I imagine that live came later on after your first few kind of covers you put together.
No, I don't think it has. It's usually like if something is impossible, it's just that we have to solve it. I mean, I think for the first years that we played live, we sounded pretty bad, like, to be honest.
All bands do at the start.
Yeah, like into the tours we did in 2014, 2015 were like, we sounded pretty shitty. So... and it started feeling way more comfortable this time around. Like after the pandemic, I guess, like I felt that the status is better and it's a more kind of a relaxed vibe because it was a lot to digest playing all of that stuff live in the beginning. And right now I feel like there is more of a calmness when we do these things live now. But
where do you think that's come from? How's that developed?
I don't know. It was kind of, like we did this project, and I can just speak for myself. Like, I was always anxious during the gigs in the beginning because the only thing I focused on was to not fuck up, like I don't want to play wrong. And then I realized, like, I'm going to do it. So, like, there's always like something that's going to be a mistake, and it doesn't go to my head in the same way as it did in the beginning. So it's more like a mental thing, I guess, how you prepare for it. And I don't know, I think it's just when everybody's more relaxed around the material, like it's just a vibe where we feed off each other in a different way than we did before. I think everybody was kind of like had their head up their own ass very much in the beginning because it's like, there's so much going on, and you just stand there and felt more forced in the beginning than it does now.
Did you jump to quite big crowds at the start? But I have no idea. Was at the beginning, was it more of you were creating studio stuff and putting it out there, and then that was developing an audience?
Yeah.
Then you'd go play live too.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like basically from zero to like. I mean, it's also like just talking in front of an audience when you never like. I just been like in the background before, and doing that for the first time, it's just like you got to learn how to do that as well, and look relaxed on stage.
As with getting good at the bass, it is about practice, just innings and the rest. I found, on a personal note, that I got to a certain level of drumming, and I was like, I'm pretty good. I can play most things now. And the temptation is to kind of coast and be like, well, I'm good now. But I have to imagine that to get to the level that you're playing bass, you must have some discipline to go beyond just, I'm comfortable, I can play lots of things. Do you have any routines or anything you do to try and keep yourself innovating?
I never had routines at all. It's more, or in one sense I had routines, but not like in the scheduled kind of way at all. It's more that I had like these long-term goals of like, I want to do this, and like it could be things that I will probably never reach, but like these impossible goals. And sometimes I would reach like a little bit going there, and and then something new would develop. The other thing that I think has been important is like I have not always been good at that, but it's like to look at the weak sides of your playing. And I know for my thing, I think the like most thing is the rhythmical things, because I can't really see, like as when I was gonna tell you about the Next to You thing. It's not like this hit is on this beat before. I can visualize it in the way I could do like with the notes in my head. And I don't know, like if I would develop that, like that should be my main focus on developing that, because I think that will be most beneficial for getting my playing to like the next level. So, and I think with players, if they're honest with themselves about like what everybody has a weak spot, if you could list like a bunch of different parameters, but everybody has like one of those that's lacking, and if you put that up, like all the rest will go up as well. So that's like, I think, my philosophy about it in a way.
That makes sense. I think mine is probably sight reading. I imagine if I did more of that, got better at that.
I'm like, actually also like really horrible.
But it's so boring. I don't know, to really like hone in on the sight reading stuff. It's what I enjoy is the feeling of playing.
I don't think I will practice that much though, because I guess you almost never in situations where I sight read a lot. I don't have the jobs where sight reading is that I need it that much. I could do it like a little, but I think more for me it's like with harmony, rhythm, time. I don't know, like technique is as well. But I guess like in some kind of jobs, sight reading would actually be one of those things as well. Where it would hinder you. But I mean, actually it's true. Like when I think about it, whenever I sight read, I play way worse because...
Oh, it's like a lag system. I have to think too hard.
I don't have like any skills of doing two things at once. What's that called? Like when...
I guess multitasking.
Yeah, multitasking, thank you. Like I can't multitask at all, and like when I sight read, it's just that I read bar for bar and kind of get lost in it. So
same.
I'm like horrible. It's like I don't hear the music at the same time.
Yeah, it becomes a math problem rather than feeling the performance. And I know you've done some collaborations. Obviously, there was the Songs for Lovers thing you did with Aaron. You also did a song with Mike Portnoy and some others. Do you have to be quite selective about which projects you decide to go and do that people ask you to do? Because you must get a few requests here and there. How do you select what you're going to do, and how do you add your skills to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly about like some stuff you want to do, and then you make time for it, and then there's like other things you like that could be cool, but you never heard of it. But it's usually like when it's people you know of, then you do it. But it's kind of the same thing. Like if friends ask you to do stuff, then then you're more likely to do it as well.
Fair.
So I have like friends that I played with outside of their loops in Stockholm, and whenever they ask me to record on their stuff, it's like, then I want to do it because they're my dudes.
Makes sense. Do you have a particular kind of collaboration outside of Dirty Loops that you're most pleased with how it came out?
I'm kind of proud of the stuff I did with Eldar and Matt Garska.
Well, he's a beast.
So because it was really, really hard, and I was like not sure that I would actually make it.
I mean, I'm a drummer. I can barely follow what Garska does.
I can definitely not do it. So I couldn't follow any one of them, especially not in that. Like I felt very inferior to both of them. But it was a great learning experience, and it was very rhythmical also, which was like my weak spot. So I kind of said yes, even though I didn't know like if I was gonna be able to do it. And I think the result came out well, and I'm like really proud I did that.
Nice. Is there more with those folks coming out in the future or not?
Not right now. I have Dirty Loops is the only thing I focus on right now, kind of. Nice. I recorded some like stuff with an Icelandic singer and a separate project with an Icelandic guitar player who played with the Icelandic singer. So the guitar player just released an album, and she will release an album at some point as well. So cool. That's very different from Dirty Loops because it's one takes everything, and yeah, that was sight reading though.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's like my sight reading bass skills.
Now, I'm conscious you've got a sound check coming up soon. So, is there Dirty Loops music in the pipeline in future? Are you working on new materials?
Yeah. We hope to release pretty early next year a new album.
Nice.
So,
and when it comes to writing those, I understood that for a previous record, you had like 80 initial sketch ideas for songs.
No.
No? Okay.
It's usually like everything we got ends up on the album.
Because give me a question, like how do you decide? Well, I guess.
But I mean, like some of the sketches never make it to the album. That it's like it's a chorus, but the chorus sucks. So we don't work more on it. But like everything, like where it's a finished song usually ends up on the album.
How do you determine whether a chorus does or does not suck? What's the sense of that, or is there any way to understand that in a technical way?
I don't know.
You're just not feeling it, or
yeah, it's not some formula. But I mean, if you would have asked, Shellback or Max Martin or any one of those like writers, and they would look at our songs, they would probably see like, oh yeah, you could have changed this and this would have made it much more effective. But I don't think we know those tools. Like we just write songs that we like. But I think people could probably make the original pop songs we make way more effective and better, like if we knew more about that kind of skill.
But what I would say on the back of that is it's clearly going well enough. You're not lacking for fans of people that really enjoy the music that you create, however it is that you do. So they might change it and make it technically more aligned to some, bigger thing. But it wouldn't maybe hit as well as some of the stuff you do.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's hard to tell. But yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for your time. I know you got a busy day today, but lovely to chat to you. And
it's not super busy. I get a sound check and then I got to eat and play.
Those are all things that have to happen in order. You can't have Jonah and Aaron waiting on stage being like, where is Henrik? So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to checking out the show tonight and the future Dirty Loops music.
Well, that was a joy to be able to talk to Henrik about some of those details of their songwriting and his bass playing as well. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did and you'd like to see more interviews like that, do get in touch. You can either leave a comment on this video if you're seeing it on YouTube, or I have a free Discord server that you can join to have chats with me about music and recommend artists and bands and things you think I should check out and you think I should interview as well at some point in the future. Thank you for watching.